Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 1st. Let's get going. It's finally spooky month, and Ono-sensei has decided that means it's time to learn about Masamune Date. I don't learn much in class, but at least I stayed awake for the lesson. After class, I decide to head to the art club and spend some time with other content creators. The club advisor comes in to tell us that the Waza is a finalist in a contest. We all congratulate him, but he plays it off, saying it's just beginner's luck. He's more humble than I thought. We all go to leave, and one of our clubmates just straight up fucking dies. Dr. Scott checks on him though, and takes him to the nurse's office. So, I head to Escapade to hang with Mutatsu-san. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 2nd. Let's get going. It's Fuka Friday again. We head to the mall, and she laments her inability to cook. She says she's not good at anything, but I deny that, as she's a very important party member. She doesn't seem super happy about that, and tells me about how she likes working with electronics. She says she learned it from her dad, and gets a little embarrassed about it. I say, don't be embarrassed about your hobbies, as the things you love are what make you unique. Moving on from me spouting life quotes, I go speak to the wise old drunk monk, who weirdly asks about my money situation. I'm not rolling in it, but I'm also not broke, and Mutatsu-san gets mad I can't give him a straight answer, so he asks if I want anything. I tell him no. And he says that in life, to earn enough, you have to work too much. He says the average salaryman earns 250 million yen in his lifetime, the modern equivalent of $1,670,000, and advises me not to waste time trying to get rich, but rather live a rich life. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 3rd. Let's get going. In class, Miss Toryumi reminds us that exams are right around the corner, so give me some questions down in the comments. You might just get answered. Maya also goes off about how hip she is, and even says she knows all the cool lingo for 2009. After class, I get burgers with Yuko, then head to the mall for my entrepreneurial lesson of the day. Tanaka asks me about stocks, and says his company just went public. He thinks it's hilarious that most of his investors are also his customers, but isn't that normal? Welcome to Persona Everyday. It's finally October 4th. Fuka found this month's boss at the station, but Shinji and Ken are both missing. So Yukari sends Junpei to go get at least Ken. Koromaru does his famous October 4th backflip, and we head to the station. Junpei couldn't find Ken, and Shinji's still missing, so we just head into the fight. Strength protects Fortune, who turns this fight into a casino. I only get unlucky a few times, and thankfully the boss doesn't have many party-wide moves, so we demolish Strength right after I figure out that the wheel is super easy to manipulate. If you just mash the button, it'll always land on a party heal, a defense down for the opponent, or fear for the opponent. After destroying the boss, which Link said was way harder than the table, we find Shinji and Ken in an alley. Ken says that Shinji killed his mom 2 years ago, and that he's here to take revenge. Shinji accepts his fate, and warns Ken that by killing him, the same number of killers remained in this world. Assassin Jesus shows up and says, "Nuh-uh, you both die," then shoots Shinji. He goes to shoot Ken.
Maria!
Shinji fucking died. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 5th. Let's get going. We have a morning assembly to hold a funeral for Shinjiro. Some disrespectful shit sitting in front of us won't shut up, so Junpei and I tell him to, but Maya settles us down. At lunch, Mitsuru comes up to us to tell us we're having a meeting today. She looks like she's holding herself together, but that could be a facade. Akihiko is absent today, and after school he makes his way to the shrine in the auditorium, and has a heart-to-heart with his best friend. He talks himself through the pain of losing someone close, and after realizing that holding on to guilt and grief isn't going to change anything,
Alright, Shinji. You watch from there with Miki.
Akihiko's resolve grants him an evolution of his persona, transforming Polydeices into Caesar. I head back to the dorm after Kendo for our meeting about Ken. Mitsuru sends Robo-chan to get the kid, and Fuka starts blaming herself for Shinji's death. We all reassure her that it isn't her fault, when suddenly the Terminatrix comes running in to tell us Ken ran away. Everyone besides Fuka just kinda doesn't care, including me. Punching bag time. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 6th. Let's get going. Yuko's missing, and so is everyone else. Oh yeah, it's the week before exams. I decided to pull a fortune for her instead. Liz calls and lets me know Tartarus got bigger. We cut to the back alley and catch up with Ken. Aki knew exactly where to find him and confronts him. Ken laments the fact that no one will ever learn the truth about his mom or Shinji, and Aki basically tells him to put up or shut up. He leaves, and after Ken realizes that he's been running away from his problems,
Shinjiro-san, I'll see it through to the end.
Ken's resolve grants him an evolution of his persona, transforming Nemesis into Kalanemi. Back at the dorm, we all sit in awkward silence. Koto hears someone at the door, and it's Ken. He's returned to us, and wow, Fuka and Yukari are short. Anyway, I spend some time with Tanaka, who's got perverted things on the mind. He even tells me he wants me to model in my underwear. I sneak away from him and head to bed.
Hello!
Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's October 7th. Let's get going. Exams are creeping up on us, and I'd love to answer any questions you guys have, even those not regarding the series. In the meantime, I nailed the question from Miss Onishi on why matadors have a red capote de brega. Bulls actually can't see the color red, so it's mainly for the audience. I decide to hang with Maiko since everyone is busy studying, and then end the day with the lucky fortune for Black Frost. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's October 8th. Let's get going. Another short day today, as all I really do is hang out with Maiko and Mutatsu-san. I'm glad there's a bit of a lull, especially after the jam-packed days we've had all month. I hope you have a good day. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's October 9th. Let's get going. This will be the final time I mention it, but exams are creeping up on us, so don't forget to ask some really good questions in the comments. After class, I have a quick chat with Giru, and she brings up that she might be experiencing some form of sadness about Shinji's death. Rather than debate the idea that robots can have emotions, I instead head to Naganaki Shrine, and accidentally pull a fortune for Hidetoshi instead of Kaz like I meant. To top off my daily failure, the fortune was bad luck, and I lose some money and become tired thanks to it. I take some time to rest, and visit Mutatsu-san, who conveniently is complaining about needing some rest of his own. He says he drank too much, and talks about the ups and downs of living alone. I go to leave, and he hints that the memorial service he's performing tomorrow is actually for Shinji. I hope that was purely coincidence. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's October 10th. Let's get going. In class, Ono-sensei gives us another thrilling lesson on Masamune Date in the Sengoku era. After school, I hang with Maiko, and she tells me she celebrated her birthday recently, and that her parents didn't forget. I've never wanted more in life than to insult this child, but I hold back for the sake of my comments. She ponders why her parents might be getting a divorce, and decides that she'll just ask them, and then get rid of the problem. I shake my head as I go on a walk with Ken and Koto. Ken apologizes for everything he's done over the past week, and says he's gonna be alright. He challenges Koto to a race, and we head home. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's October 11th. Let's get going. It's Sunday, so it's time for the shopping channel. Today, Tanaka is selling a pair of remote control sandals, and he Billy Mazes me with instant ramen, making this an instant buy. I decide to meet with that striped shirt guy Maiko mentioned, as one of my commenters said this is highly regarded as the best social link in possibly the whole series, so you know I have to find out if that's true. After exchanging some words, he says he's missing his pen, and a beast with white fur and red eyes may have stolen it. While I'm here, I pull a fortune for Chihiro. I get back to the dorm, and take the pen back from Kotomaru, before ultimately taking him on a walk. We get to the shrine and meet Scott the Waz outside. We chit-chat for a while Koro plays in the shrine, and we head home. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's October 12th. Let's get going. I hang with Maiko again today, and it's going to be the last time for a while, as everyone will finally be free next week. I take Black Frost to hit the punching bag, and have an early night in preparation for tomorrow's exams. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's October 13th. Let's get going. Today's the start of our Q&A, and our first question comes from Louis C. Animates. He asks if I've seen the Persona 3 movies. I actually own all of them. I came across them at this really cool Asian supermarket in 2021, and I told myself I'd watch them when I beat the game. I also own the Daybreakers OVA for Persona 5. I'm currently on the hunt for the P4 anime. I can't wait to find that in physical. Our next question comes from Ducks in My Head. They ask what my main motivation for the series is. For a while, I kept coming across YouTube shorts of people's Nuzlocke runs for Pokemon, and I figured that the series would do well like this. I also am a huge fan of challenge run content, as well as seeing some people who have played Persona Every Day, but were uploading the whole day rather than chopping up and condensing it. So I had a light bulb moment back in March, that I could totally do this with P3, which I'd been wanting to play for a while. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's October 14th. Let's get going. Today's question comes from Ethan Mull, who asks if I think the difficulty should be lower in Reload. I actually think the game is going to be relatively easy, maybe easier than Persona 5, just due to the fact that there's so much more to do now. I'd prefer it if it was harder, but I can understand why that might not be the case. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's October 15th. Let's get going. Our question today comes from Nocturne, who asks if I'm planning to do any challenge runs. I mentioned challenge runs yesterday, and I do want to do some, but they'd most likely end up as longer form videos on the channel, as opposed to shorts. I think if I was going to do a challenge run, I'd want to do a blind run of P3 Reload with just Jack Frost. I feel like that'd be really fun. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 16th. Let's get going. Today's question comes from Ayman Zhao Aoi, who asks my thoughts on social links being locked behind other social links. The execution's a little shoddy in this game, but I really dig the idea. It feels like you're being introduced to your friend's friends, and the idea of that whole personality A with friend group type B. With better execution, I think there's something here, especially for multiple playthroughs. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 17th. Let's get going. Our final question comes from Link, who asks if I'm left-handed. Unfortunately, I am a filthy righty, but I do use my left hand to do things like wipe my ass and clean up dog poop. Thank you for all your questions. I'm sorry I couldn't get to them all. Hopefully there's another exam in December. To celebrate the end of exams, I take Yuko out for coffee. She apologizes profusely for the awkwardness of last time, and implies that it may have just been her motherly instincts. She also says that coaching those kids showed her what she wants to be in life, an athletic trainer. She says she realized that she doesn't have much life experience, and when thinking about having her own kids, she wouldn't know where to begin. Yuko thanks me and heads home, while I head for a walk with Koromaru. Hey Kenji, you like older women, right? Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 18th. Let's get going. It's Sunday, and we're back on our usual schedule starting today. Tanaka's selling some Indra bracers, and even more instant ramen, so you know I snag it. After my weekly shopping spree, I give the guy in the striped pajamas his pen back. He introduces himself as Akinari, then gives a romantic prose about the liveliness of youth and the darkness of his own peril. See, Akinari's dying of a genetic disease with no cure, and tells me I shouldn't waste my time hanging around him, as I have so much life to live. I form a bond with the dying man, then head back to the dorm to discover a new video to watch. This time it's Vakihiko, who's having trouble coming to grips that he's not good with girls. He even bought a self-help book to teach him how not to be so timid. Tells him to try humor as an icebreaker, but...
What am I, the chairman?
I, hang with Mutatsu-san to end the night. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 19th. Let's get going. Exam results were posted today, so I go to check, and I made top of class, even with a few missed answers, too. Miss Miyahara asks us about calendars, and thankfully I remember that leap years exist. After a quick kendo practice, I break into Tartarus for a little grind and explore action. I hear something that almost breaks my heart.
Did you see that, Shinji?
And level up a few times before coming to floor 146, where I take a moment to clean up my persona list. I jump back up to fight the boss, and oh boy, it's another mind-charged, party-wide dying spell fight again, with a break spell thrown in there. I learned pretty quick that my remaining attack and magic mirrors work wonders at protecting me while I take a chance to set up. And I also learned that I can abuse the AI in this fight. By switching to Take Mikazuchi, which is immune to electric, I can force him to waste turns casting Elec Break, giving me chances to whittle down their health. I call it after my quick victory. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 20th. Let's get going. We start the day with a rare peek into Fuka's class, where Natsuki, her Gyaru friend, is saying her goodbyes as she's transferring. Her and Fuka head to the roof, where they have a heart-to-heart about their living situations, and why they connected in the first place. Gyaru-chan says she has to go pack, and Fuka chases after her, before delivering some Kingdom Hearts dialogue.
Even if we're apart, we'll still be connected.
Fuka's resolve grants her an evolution of her persona, transforming Lucia into Juno. Back to main character Kun, I seem to be pretty popular at lunch, and decide since I have nothing better to do, I'll go to kendo practice. Yuko comments on Kaz's knee, and awkwardly asks a junior to massage it for him. We leave, and Kaz and I head to Wakatsu, where he gives me some sports tape and says he's going to get surgery for his knee instead of being selfish and trying to compete. After maxing out my second social link, I hang with the old slave driver Tanaka and let him vent about his shitty employees. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 21st. Let's get going. At lunch, I get ambushed by Hidetoshi for the first time in months, asking me if I have any leads on the smoking in the boys' room. I completely forgot that's what he wanted, so I just ignore him in favor of taking Yuko out for takoyaki. To end the night, I pull a lucky fortune for Black Frost, and I guess the fortune teller's spooky Dr. Edgar. Ooh. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 22nd. Let's get going. We learn about soybeans in class, and thanks to my many years of being a weeb, I actually know what natto is. After class, I can't find Yuko or Chihiro, and wouldn't you know it, that one's mad at me anyway. So I arrive early to art club and find Senor Wozniak parading himself. I make my presence known, and the scooter tells me his dad said he had to quit art club and focus on his academics. He says that if he doesn't win the contest, he's gonna quit and follow in his father's footsteps and become a doctor. I really feel like the school needs a therapist. Speaking of therapists, I spent some time with Mutatsu-san, who rambles on about stress relief, and eventually he brings up his son before going quiet. I can sense he views me as a son, and he shows that concern by telling me to be careful on my way home. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 23rd. Let's get going. Edogawa gives us another magic lesson today, this time on more modern magicians like Aleister Crowley and Madame Blavatsky. We cut to what may be our shortest Fuka Friday yet, as all we really do is eat at Wakatsu before heading into Tartarus. I have a few goals today, of which only 2 were met, as I'm slain not once but twice in hallway fights. I even made it to just before the next roadblock, floor 159, and got creamed. Thankfully though, Ken carries me up to where I should be, landing crits and just overall proving his worth. I climbed to level 49, just shy of my goal of 53, and hit floor 160, where I encounter the greatest intercontinental champion of all time.
I'm gonna get ya!
Fortunately, it's an easy fight, and I outdamage him to win.
And I'll never forgive myself, it's the worst day of my life!
I reach the top of the block, and it looks like the top of Tartarus, cause I don't see any stairs anywhere. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 24th. Let's get going. Yukari's paying a visit to the student council room, and Mitsuru wanders in and questions why she's there. Yukari answers a question with a question, asking what reason Mitsuru has to fight. She says she's lost her own reason, and it won't matter anyway, as the next full moon isn't the last. She leaves, and Mitsuru looks concerned, but we won't find out right now why, as I'm on a date with Yuko, and afterwards I feed Black Frost, and here's his stats.
80 luck, baby!
We end the night with Tanaka, and he talks about going to his high school reunion. He subtly brings up the fact that he grew up poor and bullied, before relishing in the fact that he's way more successful than his schoolmates. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 25th. Let's get going. I wake up from a nightmare about Tanaka, only to watch the Home Shopping channel and see Tanaka. He's selling brand name items for dirt cheap, so you know they're either stolen or fake. I don't really care, to be honest. It's stuff to give my teammates. I take some time to hang with Akinari, and he tells me I'm not like others. Apparently, everyone handles him with kid gloves, and some even pity him. He says there isn't much to be gained from staying alive too long, but I disagree with him, because there are major things that are worth living for. He thanks me for coming, and I head back to grab Kodomaru and take him for a walk before bed. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 26th. Let's get going. I ignore Fuka at lunch, it being Monday and all, and enjoy the fact that Kenji gets called out in class for being asleep. Unfortunately, since he's asleep, I get called on by Miss Toriumi, and asked about Arabic things. My Arabic friends tell me that wristwatches aren't derived from Arabic, and my trust in them never leads me astray. After school, I take a trip to Polonia to purchase some new weapons for the gang, and start on the wild goose chase that is Elizabeth's requests. First, I try to take Ono-sensei's helmet, but he lectures me before telling me he'll give me one next time. Next, I pick up an anatomical model, just in time for Halloween. I retrieve the Gekkokan Boogie CD, which is a parody of Kung Fu fighting, and make my way to the bar to pick up a bottle of Queen Elizabeth. My final 2 tasks are to steal a set of mahjong tiles, and get some Inari sushi from the shrine. Now that Liz is satisfied, I decide to hang with Maiko, who tackles me and says her dad hit her. I ask if she deserved it, and she responds by telling me she's running away from home. I end the day with some Black Frost exercise. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 27th. Let's get going. Immediately after class, I rush over to the faculty lounge to get Ono-sensei's helmet, but it's no dice, as Miss Miyahara is committing tax fraud. She turns from my math teacher into my English teacher.
Do you understand?
And sends me on my way. After gaslighting Chihiro for the second time in a month, I hang out with Tanaka, who gives me an actual lesson this time. He talks about how companies don't care about health and safety, only making a profit, and he uses cucumbers as an example. I go to bed after learning about the horrors of capitalism, only to be woken up by Pharaoh's 7-day warning. He mentions that he'll see me again after the full moon, but I thought the dark hour is supposed to disappear after I beat the 12th shadow. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 28th. Let's get going. Yuko comes up to me at lunch, and she seems out of it, so I decide to head over to her place after school. She hands me a letter from the kids we coached, then blushes and tells me that her parents aren't home, and that she wants to give me a special thank you. After receiving every green light possible, I max out my social link with Yuko, and share a special moment together in her bedroom. We fuck. To celebrate the loss of my virginity, I do the manliest thing I can think of. Head to the arcade and play video games. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 29th. Let's get going. Now that I've piped Yuko, I'm running on pure testosterone, so I decide it's time to bag Chihiro next. First though, I have to answer a question about lactose intolerance. Why they don't just tolerate it, I have no idea. On to the important part of the day. Chihiro is rushing me to get to the bookstore before someone buys those books she wanted. Again, if she had just let me buy them for her, we wouldn't be in this mess. Before we can leave, a student stops her and accuses her of stealing his materials fees. Chihiro denies this, saying that she shouldn't have to apologize, and asks for my help before realizing this is her problem to solve. I shrug, and head to Escapade to spend some time with Mutatsu-san. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 30th. Let's get going. Miss Toriyumi's sick today, so Edogawa gives us a lesson on devil summoning, a fun game in the Shin Megami Tensei series. What's that? He's talking about actually summoning devils? Like Aleister Crowley summoning Aiwass? At least he makes a comment about Atlas games being, quote, better. Putting Mr. Crowley aside, it's time for Fuka Friday. She calls me to the rooftop today to give me a rice ball to try. I eat it, and it's actually good. Maybe this trope is finally done. She says she made the rice ball in home ec, specifically for me, then blushes when she realizes what she said. She runs home flustered, and I spend my night with Mutatsu-san. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's October 31st. Let's get going. Happy Halloween, everybody. I start the day by trying to get my costume from Ono-sensei, but no luck once again, as Miss Onishi's there fretting about mental supplements. After learning about DHA and having a quick study session with Chihiro, I make my way into Tartarus for a spooky special grind sesh. I kit everyone out with their new gear, then knock out a few fusion requests for Liz. I go to fuse Thoth, but an accident gives me Hokuto Seikun instead. I fuse Natataishi because I wanted to see what the other cross fusion was, and wouldn't you know it, it's Alice. She's the next goal, but first I get in some grinding towards our real goal. Fuka levels up along the way and learns a new skill, Oracle, which I immediately try out.
Sorry for the wait. Invoking Oracle.
Yeah, I'm never using that again. I hit my target level of 53, and notice I can make Cert, but instead I make Parvati, as by fusing her with Hokuto Seikun, I create the reason I'm here today, Thor. Anyway, here's Thundercall.